beautiful lovelies of the world. It is me, Queen Nightmare, and I am going to do another reading of the fanfiction tonight, and I hope you like it. It's of You Are My Sunshine. I think this is the 6th part, if I am correct. Well, let's get into it, shall we? Malfoy spoke, and the charm was broken. Harry looked down at the floor, feeling the heat rising up to his neck, towards his cheeks, flaming red. I think it's a good idea. Harry nodded, suddenly feeling breathless. Malfoy had said yes. I'll message you. Message me? Malfoy asked, his brow furrowed. Harry gasped as he realized what he had said. I meant, I'll send you an owl to you. My owl, Hedwig, the snowy owl? Asked Harry, using his life-saving, distracting people from my big mouth card, which was named after his owl, Hedwig. Almost everyone was smitten with the bird. He wouldn't be surprised if he saw Malfoy smile on the mention of Hedwig, which happened right now. Malfoy's lips rose up into a small smile. He licked his lips and answered, I know, Hedwig. She's gorgeous. Did you know? Yeah, she is, chuckled Harry and lifted his gaze to meet Malfoy's eyes. He cleared his throat once again and adjusted the straps of his bag. So I'll send Hedwig to you this evening, with time and place. Is that all right? Yeah, sure. Malfoy shrugged and took his bags and books and notes off the table and shoving them into his bag. He nodded curtly at Harry and walked out of the room. When Harry was sure that Malfoy wouldn't turn back, he broke into a big grin, and feeling very stupid of doing so. I had a great day today. How about you? Me too. Though the oldest thing happened to me today. But other than that, it was good. Harry smiled to himself. He was sitting in the Gryffindor common room. He was utterly bored. And being a Friday evening, he didn't have to do anything. So he did the only thing that could help him not be bored anymore, messaging with Malfoy. Harry still didn't send him a note about the time and place to meet up, though. Well, he was nervous. They were going to study and do nothing more than that, but the fact that they were going to spend more time together alone, nobody around, just the two of them, a shiver ran down and up Harry's spine, making him close his eyes and bite his lip. This was madness. This was a mistake. This could be labeled as a tragedy, and yet Harry didn't want to back down from the dangerous game he had made upon himself. He kept telling himself that he didn't care about Malfoy, that this was simply a small mission for him to find out about Malfoy's true side for the war. I'm waiting for a note from someone. The words seemed to freeze Harry's insides. All the thoughts about Malfoy being a scum, a pussy, and a Death Eater seemed to flow out the window. Malfoy was waiting for him. Malfoy was waiting for Harry. The words seemed to replay in Harry's mind. Harry took a big, steady breath and tried to tell his heart to steady itself back to normal. I'm sure that person will write to you soon. A hot date? Harry couldn't help but ask him about this. This was totally out of line for Harry to ask Malfoy something like this, but to hell with it. A small part of Harry's mind wanted to know what he was thinking about them, about their study section. A hot day. I wish. No, just a small research for potions with my partner in class. I wish? What does this mean? Harry sighed and frowned once again. He shook his head and took a piece of parchment from the table in front of him and wrote a quick note to send to Malfoy about the time and place for them to meet. Harry, might I borrow an ink from you? I've run out of mine, asked Ron from the corner desk that he was sharing with Hermione. Yeah, sure. He dug into his bag and pulled out an inkwell, sent it to Ron. Cheers, mate, said Ron, and turned back to his homework. Harry walked up the stairs into his dormitory, spotted Hedwig. He walked towards her, who fluttered her wings, preparing herself for delivery. He instructed her to take it to Malfoy, and Hedwig hooted and took off at high speed. Harry took out his galleon again. You wish? Why? Because it's not your business, mystery boy. Harry chuckled at himself. Malfoy was flustered about this, so it meant that Harry wasn't the only one who was nervous about their meeting. That was a bit comforting. I have to go. Talk to you later. Hedwig seemed to be doing very fast work, and Harry thought at the next Hogsmeade visit he'll buy an owl treat for her. He walked to his dresser, and after a small journey into it, he wore his favorite blue faded jeans with a light cotton sweater, which was green. Harry didn't want to wear something that would make Malfoy pick upon him, but he did like the color, and the sweater so he just shrugged it on, run his hand through his hair, and walked out of the dormitory. He walked towards the couch in the common room and picked up his school bag and walked out of the tower. No one asked him where he was going, which was fine by him. Draco found Potter with his nose pressed into a book of Quidditch, and the fact that he didn't start the research made him extremely angry. He walked towards the potion section and scanned through the titles, searching about the potion they had to write an essay on. He walked towards the dark arts section to take all the books about werewolves, vermins, that they were all of them. With a disgusted look on his face, he took the heavy books in his arms and walked towards where Potter was sitting, still reading away. He placed the books in front of him with a snap, and with satisfaction saw Potter snapping his head up to look at him, his green eyes flashing. What the hell, Malfoy? You nearly gave me a heart attack, cried out Potter, clutching the said heart. Well, you should have started the research before I got here, Potty, sneered Draco. Don't call me that. And I was just waiting for you so we could start it together, grumbled Potter, adjusting the sprawled books on the table. Draco sat opposite of Potter and took the potions-related books towards him. I will start with these books, and you'll read about the werewolves. I quite remember you having a werewolf friend, don't you? Potter didn't answer. He just silently took the dark arts books to him and opened the first book of pile, silently reading on it. Draco pursed his lips together, eyes narrowing. He turned his head down and opening the book in front of him and started reading. As time passed, Draco learned that Potter could be quite loud when he was doing something. He flustered at that thought, but it didn't stop him from thinking about it. When he was reading something and when he understood it had it been him humming in approval, but when he didn't understand something, he would huff a breath with a low growl, which would make a stir with something inside of Draco. Start to reread the section, but other than that, he was quiet, talking nothing. Draco looked up at Potter and saw him playing with a lock of his untamed hair. It looked varied despite the messiness of it. Draco looked back down to his book and resumed his reading. I'm done reading about werewolves. Wait, what? No, Draco jotted this down. It was nature and effects of the potion. Draco jotted this down on a piece of parchment and stretched it. He was tired of reading and writing, but it seemed like Potter was doing just fine. As if on cue, Potter took off his glasses and placed them on a book, and scratched at his eyes, if in a tired and almost adorable way. The thought made Draco blush. He looked down at his book again. A throat-clearing noise made him look up at Potter's bright green eyes, and the odd stirring started again in the pit of his gut. I'm done reading about werewolves, Potter said, looking right through Draco, who tried to nod but failed. Do you want to read about them? I can take care of the potions research if you want to. That is, Malfoy. Potter was calling him. He had to answer, but here he was sitting right in front of him, looking at him like a statue. Malfoy, are you all right? Potter was concerned. Draco cleared his throat and looked down at the book in front of him. Yeah, sure. His voice was rough. He cleared it again. Here, take this one. And I'll read that one. Potter nodded and passed him the book. Draco nodded to turn and started reading about the most disgusting creatures in the world. But his mind was elsewhere. Potter without glasses was absolutely breathtaking. He would have thought that a frame would change a person that much, like that. Draco shook his head once again, which he observed was doing this a lot lately, and he tried to concentrate on the words of the book. Draco looked down at it, feeling rather sick all of a sudden. He remembered his encounters with the grayback wolf and felt sick all over again. He smelled like hell, and he was dirty. He never thought that someone as him could be labeled as a human being. Then he remembered that third-year Professor Lupin. He remembered there was a third-year Professor Lupin. He looked all right for him, but was he human as they were? He didn't smell. He didn't have dirty clothes on. He wasn't as hairy as Greyback. He ideally wondered if Lupin one day could become like Greyback, dirty with a sick mind and as inhuman as he was. Draco shook his head and chanced to glance at Potter and wrote the words down from the book. After some more research, both boys sighed and in unison, exhausted and tired from all the reading and they had done. Draco rubbed a knuckle over his eyes and blinked several times after that, trying to get his vision back to normal. But then he looked up at Potter, who was watching him, and blinked in surprise. Potter was watching him, his lips parted, his cheeks flamed red. Malfoy frowned. "Are you all right, Potter?" Potter only nodded and scrambled up to his feet, furiously shoving his notes and quills and inkwells into his bag and taking the potions book. He abruptly stopped, his breathing hard. He looked at Malfoy with fire in his eyes. Draco swallowed and felt his heart starting to beat faster. He tried to speak, but words failed him. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, left it all out with a huff, let it all out with a huff, and walked fast-paced out of the library, leaving Draco to look after him with bewilderment. Draco frowned and walked after him, jogging after him to be more specific. "Potter!" he yelled after him. He didn't know why he was going after Potter, but he wanted to know why he was acting so weird. "Potter, wait up!" he yelled and run after him. When he was closer to grab him by the elbow and force Potter to stop. Breathing heavily, he looked at him and shrugged his shoulders, and giving him a look that told him, "What the fuck just happened?" Potter only shook his head in response to Draco's silent question. Draco sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. He heard rather than saw Potter gasp in breath. He looked up sharply at Potter, whose face was now flaming red. "Tell me, what is wrong?" Draco insisted him. Potter's behavior was interesting, mildly speaking, and whatever Draco wanted to know, he knew, and in the end, even it costed him to squish down his pride. It's nothing, Malfoy. "Really," said Potter, his voice hoarse. Just let me go, okay?" "What? No, tell me," insisted Draco, now annoyed. "I said, let me go," forced out Potter through his gritted teeth. "No." He gripped Potter's arm more forcefully, tightening his hold on it. He saw Potter flinch, but he didn't let go. Next thing Draco knows, he was roughly pushed up against the wall, Potter on him, his face inches away from his. "What are you doing?" he asked in his breathless voice. "Do you know what you to do to me, Malfoy?" Oh my goodness, that was not good English, but he asked and moved his body closer to Draco's. "Do you?" Draco swallowed hard, looking at Malfoy's fire-filled green eyes. He groaned quietly as he felt himself getting quite excited because of Potter. He still had to answer Potter's question, so feeling bold, he shook his head. He was once again caught by surprise, and Potter pushed his body up against him, Draco's eyes wide open, and something rock-hard brushed against his thigh. "Do you feel this, Malfoy?" He shoved his lower side to Malfoy. "Do you?" Yes, Draco gasped, trying to stifle a moan but biting his lower lip. His eyes fluttering shut to let out a shaky breath. "This is what you do to me." Potter stood there frozen, his eyes wide, his lips parted and his cheeks still red. He was searching Draco's face restlessly. His eyes lingered on Draco's lips. Draco moistened his lips with his tongue and saw with satisfaction. Potter did too. Potter doing the same. After a moment of thick silence, Potter let out a shaky breath, and looking horrified, backing away from him, turned and walked away from a still surprised and quite aroused Draco Malfoy. Well then, that was a great episode, and I am so excited for the new parts are coming up soon. And if you have any suggestions, put it down in the comments below. And don't forget my surprise that's coming up when I have 100 subscribers. And I promise you, it's going to be something you like. And I can't tell you what it is, but my friend is helping me with it. Also, I am going to have my live stream on Saturday, in 2 days actually, and it's going to be with a couple of friends, so you get to ask us questions. We'll be on and off maybe. I'll probably do it here. If you want it here, please comment down below. If you want it in my Instagram, follow my Instagram, and I'm going to put it right here on the screen right now. If you want the link, I'm going to put links in the description. Don't worry about it. I love you guys so much. Be good people and love my subscribe button.